Good morning, everyone. Let me know if you can see the screen access and hear me.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Today we'll probably have two lectures. Normally I prefer only one, but I like to cover, so I'll take two, and we'll have a break of 5 minutes in between. So far, what we have discussed, I believe we discussed pig and hive so far. Pig is a scripting language that enables you to do data processing on HDFS using basic scripting language without writing a detailed program. Hive is a SQL-like language that enables you to process HDFS data using SQL-like syntax. That is what we had done. Now we look at some other tools. First, we look at a tool like Hadoop, and then we look at another tool called Flume. So as far as practical exposure is concerned, I'll probably do only up to scope, and then other tools, Flume, and which I'll discuss later, such as UGI and HBase. I won't be doing practical demo. We'll look at more of a theory side of it, understand, because objective or the material given in the book is to give you a very, very high level overview without getting into too many details. But it will be a good thing if you can install, do things up, work it out. Also, the LHM, the Linux Hadoop minimal install, given by the author Douglas Edline, does not include this Flume, HBase, and UGI other stuff that needs to be installed. It's a little more cumbersome process, so I haven't tried that either as well. So let us look at Scoop first, and then we'll look at Flume later. To get into details, given the URLs, you can look at those. Last one, the third resource, is written me is basically from the notes of the author. It basically tells you how do you can feed web server log using Flume to write into HDFS from multiple web server to single HDFS. So what essentially is a scoop? It is a tool that enables you to transfer data between traditional RDBMS system to HDFS and vice versa. Why do we need this? Because a lot of data corporates, enterprises have in their RDBMS. Hadoop gives you large scaling on the file system, so you'll be able to still work with HDFS data along with RDBMS. So you should be able to import, and once you're done, you should be able to export back. So Scoop enables you to transfer data, or what we call import and export. Import meaning from RDBMS to HDFS, and export mean from HDFS to RDBMS. Once you import the data, data is available at HDFS file system, and you write your typical MapReduce program through Java streaming or through Pig or whatever, process it, and results, if you want to put it back, you can put it back. We'll also look at how we can write a Python program that basically enables custom transformation to doing under scope itself. So typically, since we're talking with importing and exporting with RDBMSs, that means we need a RDBMS connector. So typically we'd have JDBC interface, and that you must have used with Java. Talk into a database using JDBC interface, connect and get the information. And the scoop has been tested almost all the major HDM RDBMS databases such as Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle DB, Postgres, or even you can look at MySQL Oracles, which is owned by Oracle, or even IBM DB2, and so on, so forth. There are two versions of Scoop, and we'll basically look a little more detail what the difference between two versions are. Primary difference is version 1 required specific connected to each DB, whereas Scoop 2 uses the single JDBC interface to talk to all the databases it needs to do. So first we look at import, then we look at export as well. So primarily when you need to import data, import has to be done in two phases. And whether you do import or export, the first step is common in both the cases. And the first step is connect with RDBMS and gather the metadata. Metadata meaning what the column is, how many columns are there, what the column type or variable type. Get those information. So first to connect to RDBMS, which table you are importing, get metadata for that given column type, and then import. Now import requires only a map step. In our Hadoop framework, we have been always using map and reduce. Now, when importing data from RDBMS to HDFS, we say we need only map step. We do not need reduce step. Any thoughts? Why do we not need the reduce process when importing data? In our example, when we did, what did reduce step do? When we look at the graph example, we look at few other examples. What is the role of reducer? Indrasena?
Yes, sir. It just reduces the number of number of terms. For example, if there are three lines and each of three lines has one common word repeated, such as book. So, it appeared actually three times. Book with value one, book with a value one, book with a value one. So it combined all these three to one name the reducer. That is book colon 3. I mean,
So essentially, it reduces, but primarily the job it does is summarization or aggregation. Correct. You summarizes all three records into one or aggregates. So job of reducer is kind of aggregation. Now, when we are doing import from RDBMS to HDFS, do we need aggregation while importing? But simply importing data as it is existed in the RDBMS. There is no aggregation needed to be done during neither import nor export. Because there is no aggregation summarization required. Hence, while doing a scoop, we don't need a reducer step. You only work with a map step. So all that happens is you create a Hadoop job, submit to the cluster, and actually the map job will do the data transfer. There could be multiple mappers, yes, but there'll be no reducer. We'll look at those examples, how that to be done. And because we already connected to DB metadata, it will collect and get the information. So if you want to look at diagrammatically, the process of import will look like the following. You have a Scoop process or a Scoop agent or a Scoop software or Scoop tool. As a first step, is talk to RDBMS, whichever RDBMS it is, whether MySQL or SQL Server or Oracle DB or Postgres. For a given table, it will collect the metadata. And once you collect the metadata, it knows what columns are there in the table. Then it will pass on the information, basically create a Java program, create a jar file, That's how the map job would be done. You need to give a process to create a jar file for the particular importing and run that many mappers because mapper could be distributed. Those mappers would connect to the RDBMS, read the data, and write into HDFS storage. Now each mapper could write, and you see there will be part 1, part 2, part 3, something of that kind. You can do that and data would be consistent. And that essentially what the import process is. And the data is saved into HDFS directory. It continues, and by default, it uses the database name for the directory. And of course, the content would be like Hadoop mechanism is success would be indicating it succeeded. And then for each data is written into HDFS as output, it goes part dash 00000001 and so on, so forth. By default, once you import data, all the columns fields will be separated by comma, and two rows in a DBMS, the records, would be separated by a new line in our HDFS. If you want to override the format, that's possible, but that will become advanced. I will not go into those details. Once the import is done, basically Hadoop program primarily does the job and we are done with it. Same will be the process export. Export meaning from HDFS to RDBMS. To do that, first step would remain the same, very similar to the import. First step is connect to RDBMS, gather the metadata, make sure that data which we are exporting from HDFS to RDBMS follows the same column type, syntax, same number of columns, and so on and so forth. But also requires that before you can do an export into a table, the table must be created, only then it can put data into it. And again, it does only map only just to write data. Again, we don't need a reducer because we are simply writing data from HDFS to the RDBMS. That's what it is. Now, data again could be divided into number of splits, and each split would basically be run by a mapper. So let's say my HDFS file is 100,000 records, and we want to run 4 mapper. Then each mapper would probably run 25K and write into the RDBMS, and that's the way it will basically work. Pictorially, you can process is the same. The only difference you'll see from import to export is reversal of the arrow directions. First step is scoop export, stack to RDBMS, gather the metadata, make sure it is consistent, and then it basically create that many mappers. Mapper will read the data from HDFS using the respective split, and then write data into RDBMS. And that is where the process would complete, and that's how scoop would work. As any software, every software evolves. Currently we use Scoop version 2. First one, like same way, if you look at earlier cases, when we're trying to deal with software and dealing with separate databases, if I'm dealing with Microsoft SQL Server or MySQL, we used to have separate connectors or separate OLE interfaces for each databases. And with the Java, basically got the same JDBC interface. So same with Scoop version 1, it needs each separate connector for each database. The benefit this separate connector gives you is because it's customized for a given database, it can do little more optimization and better performance. But the major drawback is for each new database, we need to write a separate connector, and that means that becomes a challenge. So if we can have a single generic interface, then we don't have to worry about it, which connector, which version, and those kind of issues. And JDBC would take care of it. So any development work today happens with Hadoop version 2 and not with Hadoop version 1, because Hadoop version 2 basically uses generic JDBC interface. It does not use specialized connectors. The Hadoop one you can directly import from the IDBMS to Hive or HBase, which we'll look at later. Hadoop 2 you cannot do directly, it's only processes from IDBMS you go into HDFS, and HDFS you go to Hive or the HBase, whatever it is. And everything happens through JDBC interface, common interface, and we don't really care about which database you're connecting to because we deal with JDBC interface and life becomes simpler and programming becomes consistent, remain the same, irrespective of which database you are importing and exporting from. And that's the reason all new work is done by Hadoop version 2 and we don't use Hadoop version 1 anymore. Just a tabular comparison of the two versions. And probably this may you might get in the main exams, compare the two versions of Hadoop. So first feature is connector for individual IDBMSs. Hadoop one supports individual connectors, but it works only with that, whereas Hadoop 2 does not support individual connectors. Does it work with Kerberos security integration? Hadoop 1 yes, Hadoop 2 no. Can I do data transfer from IDBMS to my Hive or HBase? HBase is a NoSQL data store. So Hadoop one, yes, you can import to Hive or HBase. Hadoop to no. But when it comes to exporting from Hive to IDBMS, both of them don't support it. So this is common to both, others is not common. And process is from IDBMS, it comes to HDFS, HDFS to HBase or Hive, or vice versa, Hive to HDFS, and HDFS to IDBMS, and that the process will basically follow. To do a basic workflow, I'll probably give it, there's the last demo, real-time demo, we look at the scoop. So primary step is first you need to install Scoop onto the virtual machine or the Linux machine where Hadoop is installed. Make sure you have so we'll have a working with MySQL. So install the MySQL software, or you can work with any other DB which are comfortable with. Make sure that user has a Scoop, has all the required permissions to operate MySQL part. And to demo, we need some sample data. So MySQL provides sample data, which is called word in NoDB, which has basically three kind of tables: countries, cities in a country, and the languages in a country. So these three tables, so you can import and the URL there in the notes. And then we basically do import or the export process. So those who have installed or are making use of LHM, the Linux Hadoop minimal installation by the author of the book, step 1, 2, 3 are already there. That means user is Scoop, MySQL, they're pre-installed, you don't have to do anything. And that is what I'll be using. So I'll be simply working on the steps of importing and exporting from IDBMS to HDFS and vice versa. So what we'll do is the number of commands. So those I have not put into Excel file. I have put them basic commands in example walkthrough, and this command file is already been put into our MS Team. You can go through that. This is basically, you can say, I've taken some summary of basic notes given by the author. So if you were to look at the detailed notes are given by the author, installing, doing things. So let me go. If we look at the program chapter 7, we have a scoop here. So we look at the file node.txt. It tells you install, unload MySQL data, first step, add scoop user permission, make sure things are working. If you try doing that, if you want to, because you would like to use root as a user to do that. So if you are doing a pre-installation, you can say MySQL -u root and there is no password by default. So you can work with that. So normally, unless you need to work with root, do not work it. So already created, so we'll work with the user scoop. Password is scoop, and data already imported, so we can say use database word, and we can say so tables. There's three tables: city, country languages. We'll basically work with these three tables. So I removed all those and basically given a simple what we want to work today. That what I'll, so let me open that file. So we'll basically look at the interaction Hadoop with RDBMS. So first we'll do using Scoop, using JDBC interface. Let us look at connect with the database. The first step we should connect. An objective is to gather metadata. So look at what are the databases available, and then we can look at what the tables available in database. So first run this command. So I'm saying list database is the option, connecting JDBC, username scoop, password scoop, and you basically get the list of databases. You can do same thing to log in and verify that. Now we're looking at the database world, and those who have forgotten your DBMS knowledge, go back to your, I think, semester 4 or semester 5, where when you study database courses, revise your SQL syntax or the PLSQL so that you know how to use SQL part of it. Next is you want to list data tables in a database. And after the URL, the word is basically the database we are using. So whatever database you want to use, you'll basically get the listing of those. So let me run this, gives you a list. We see databases, information schema, word, test. So we're looking at the database word. If I were to give information schema, which is maintained by MySQL, we'll get all the tables in that. And this will basically give me list of three tables. So if I were to change information schema, you'll get all the tables in the information schema database. What did we do? Oh, sorry, not list databases. We should be saying list tables. So all the tables maintained by MySQL, you can look at those. So that means our basic connectivity is fine. With the three tables, we can verify that. And if I were to do the word here, I'll get the three tables. City, country, and country languages. We can run connect now. Before you want to import, we want to make sure that we have directly in our user HDFS part. So the HDFS command will create the directory. Since we are doing import, let's create that directory. The directory would be created with that. Already exists, maybe because of previous class. So let me remove that. Otherwise, we'll not be able to write data into that. So I'll create the directory and then we use this to import data. So directory is created. And now we are basically saying, before you import, just make sure run a single query with -e. We can from at least total records. And when we import into country record, we should basically see that many records getting imported. So first I can run the single command. I can look at maybe which 239 records. We got that. You can run that query manually as well through -e. And probably this is all your simple. Sorry, 1 minute. You'll get the same thing. Now we'll do actual import part of it. So what we're doing is we are saying no. We're saying import, connect using JDBC to the database word, username is scoop, password is scoop. You want to import table as a country. You want to do only one mapper, multiple mapper requires some other options as well. We look at short while. And where do you want to import data into? User HDFS scoop MySQL import and into the directory country because you're importing country. That's the name. So when you run this, it will launch a mapper process. And what you also see is because it needs to create a jar file to talk and read, you basically see a Java file would be created with the name called country.java. That Java file would be compiled, a jar file would be created, and using that jar file, it will follow a normal map reduce process. And there is only mapper here because there is no aggregation. And because there is no aggregation, there will be no reduce process. We have only mapper. So if you look at, we have only the mapper part of it. There is no reducer here. And if you see somewhere, it will be creating a jar file, country.java. You just created a country.java, and then you created a jar file country.java. So look at in current directory, you'll find a file country.java, and temporary jar was created. And now let us look at what is that we have in the directory. HDFS we use the scoop MySQL import country. You'll see two files. One is the success, indicating operation is success. And next is the actual data. And all data always comes part M 000. If there are multiple mappers, you would see 00000001 and so on and so forth. Now we can do same thing and copy. Look at cat, sorry. HDFS, DFS, cat. And you can see you'll get all the countries tables, whatever in the country table. Any questions? Somebody has a question? If you have a question, please feel free. Otherwise, I'll continue. So we've done the import. As we see in the country.java is created, a jar file is created, which I've shown you. And it says create the jar file, look at those, and then it will basically happen. Now, what we've seen is when you need to connect, we need to give a lot of options, import, connect, all these different words, and this may be repeated every time. So there is a shortcut way given that all such values could be given in options files and use that option file to basically connect. So put these entries into the option file. So create an option file, let's say word option.txt. Put all these in the separate lines. So create a file, some any name, whatever you want to. Make sure that each word is on a separate line and not two words on the same line. It doesn't work. So let's look at, we can look at options files. So given import, we are doing import, connect to JDBC using the database word, username is scoop, password is scoop, and now we can use the option same, and that will work. Now let's use this to last time we imported country data, let's import city data. So using the option file, we will do that work. We're saying option file, we're given the option file and saying import table city, one mapper, and data to be imported into city, and then it will create a city Java file, city.java, to create a jar file of that. And after creating a jar file, it will schedule a mapper job. It will process it, invokes yarn to schedule map and reducer. But in our case, there is no reducer, so you'll see only mapper job running. And once map completes, it will create the respective output directory for the data, and you get the data into the place. Now we can look at HDFS, DFS, LS, and we are given the target directory as this. So we should see the data into that city. And you want to do look at the content. You get the content. So far we have seen importing individual table, but if you want to have filter data, not all the tables should be imported or follow a particular condition. Let's say I want to follow a particular query, and you can see we also have city.java created for which the jar file was. So it compiles, runs, creates jar files, and invoke the jar file through the Java. So if you want to get only those basically cities with country code, in the book they're taken the example of Canada, and I'm taking the example of India. I change the country code to India, and the moment you give a query, you should be able to, they need something called extra variable conditions is mandatory, otherwise this querying won't work. And conditions we look at, want to do filter other places, but right now we'll simply do that. And since I already have city, let me create Indian cities and then run this command again with the same option files. So same option files, one mapper, target direct Indian cities, and we're putting a query. Now since we're doing a query, it will create a file called query.java basically, and then create a jar file from that using yarn, schedule that map job, and you can basically see it is creating a jar file query result.jar, and first it creates a Java file query result.java, then query result.jar, and all the messages you are doing because it may be running a higher version of Java, and now it runs a map job, and you get only those city data which corresponds to country India and nothing else. So we can look at, let's say, so again, and then you can get the content of this if you want to look at. So I can say HDFS to look at since beginning. You get all the cities of India basically. So that way we have done our import. If you want to run multiple mappers, multiple mappers required that we need to give conditions and mappers on what basis you split the data. So we need to have some primary key field by which you want to split. If we look at our MySQL, three tables, we're looking from cities, and so let's describe city. So when you want to do multiple mappers, that means you should be able to split input data and what key you should be using to split, because it doesn't know which ones we are saying. Use some field ID, which is the key, primary key here. So we're saying split by ID. So use this, and we are now running 4 mappers. So run 4 mappers requires conditions which basically split by ID. If you don't give anything, then you get give only 1 mapper. Since I already created Indian cities, I'll probably give a different directory called India city. The name has to be different because it's going to create that particular directory. So every time you look at mapper and reducer, they always create a directory, work in there to make sure directory doesn't exist. So I run this process. And now since I'm running 4 mapper, in the output file, in the output directory India city, you'll probably see 4 output file, part M0, part M001, part M002, and so on, so forth. But again, you would have same query import, and this query result would be a little different than previous because you'll have a query that builds into the condition split by ID. It will make use of that. So those who want to look at how does the actual work, you can actually look at the Java program. I can maybe so this is the whole Java code, about 327 lines. You can go through, look at how things are, and then basically I will set ID, all the other stuff, query result with ID, and this it will make use of splitting the input data. But all that is not part of your book syllabus, so those who are interested can follow that. And we basically got the records. Now let us look at our directory, and we should expect to see 4 output files there. So you see part M000, part M001, part M002. Since we have done 4 mappers, you see 4 output. And that way you can run with multiple mappers and each one with different content. It is not guaranteed that each file would have same number of records, roughly the same, but there is no such guarantees given. You can look at the content of any part of it. So looking at the last part, and you see the content of the particular part. So we are done with the import part of it. Next step is looking at the export part. That means from the data we got, we want to put back into the RDBMS. Now to put into the RDBMS, we have to make sure that respective table exists. So actually it needs, for a given table, it needs 2 tables, one called staging, so that it can put temporary data into staging, and then from staging it move into the actual table. And this table should be similar to what we have data in the HDFS file, otherwise there would be an error. You first create a table. Now we already have a city table, so just to make sure the two are same, we create a table called city export with the same 5 fields: ID, name, country code, district, and population, with primary key as the ID. Let me create this table. Create table. So table would be created. Since we created a table, there will be no entries there. I can see 5 fields. And now we also create similar table for staging purposes, which is temporary table. Now having these two tables created, now either we can run the same command. Instead of doing an import, now we need to do an export. So either we can run these commands directly on the command line, or we can create an option files having one thing on each. Make sure in the option files, if you are doing exporting, first what should be export and not import, and then other things will remain the same. So we'll look at the option files. Export, connect, connected to database word, username, scoop. You can probably create another database, put into the table, give respective commands, and that's the way it will basically work out. And now we run the command using option files. Now we have created data. If we look at, we had our created data using the options, and our directive was import city. We are saying use 4 mappers. So it will basically from this split data into 4 parts and export data into RDBMS. Let us run that command. Since your data already there in HDFS part, once it runs, again you would have the jar file created called, since we are doing export city export, you will see the jar file created city export. It will run through. And now that we have 4 mappers, let's give a 4 mapper option. It will run the 4 mappers, run each mapper sub. Since we're running a single machine, you'll probably see each mapper running one after the other. If you had 4 cluster nodes, each mapper would run in parallel to all other 4 nodes. So you might basically see either whole completing or each mapper complete 25% in sequence and job is done. Now that means data has been exported into city export. So let us look at city export. Go to MySQL. So that when city has been created, you can do maybe I'll basically get the 5 records and so on and so forth. And that way the table is populated. Staging was a temporary table. So if I were to look at staging, there would be no record, it will be empty. It is used only for staging purposes. There is nothing there. And that's the way my city export basically works. And once you are done, you could remove the table, run things up. And after you are done, because you don't want to keep occupying the space, HDFS takes good amount of space. You like to do a good amount of cleanup or something else. And then, so either you can run the command directly or you can drop table. And you know all those syntax, drop table or delete from. If I need to delete data, delete the data. If I want to remove the table, and to look at how it has been created, you can look at the original sample data file, which is said is giving, this is the original, which has been used from MySQL to populate for testing purposes. And see, this is what first it does, create table city, then put data into the city, then it creates other table. It probably have 4,000 entries there. Then still need to create country and other details. So it creates table country, then create country language, make those entries, and that way it basically work. But after you are done, you make sure that you clean up this stuff to work it through. So maybe we can do HDFS, DFS, RM. In general, use skip trash so that because you don't want to save, when you remove files, don't put in trash directly, but then you have to use separate command called expung, clean up the trash, otherwise it will keep occupying space onto your the HDFS file system. So we created few directories. Let's look at what we created. We should remove those and make sure we are back to normal, otherwise we keep occupying space. So I'll probably remove this SQL my import directory itself, because that is where my data was. So I had city, country, India city, Indian cities. So I can basically remove that. I can say HDFS recursively. It will remove all the contents into the directory and we should be done. And we will not see any directory there. So this brings to the end of our discussion with Scoop. So my suggestion is spend time, look at it, and this is the last demo. I'll probably give a very minor demo for the next tool, but then most of others I haven't installed it, so I won't be able to give a demo. I'll give theoretical idea. So before I start on the next lecture, maybe let's break for 5 minutes and resume back. So I'll break for 5 minutes, take a bio break, and come back, and we start our discussion in 5 minutes.